The lines of these are, for those of you who don't know, are the Atlas, the Apollo, the Zeus, and the Chaos, spelled with a K, because it's cool like Mortal Kombat. What's up, YouTube? Graver here, and I am here to bring to you my review of this. And this is the Nerf Rivals Atlas. What this is, it's a pump-action shotgun-type blaster from the Rivals line, so it does not shoot normal foam darts. It uses the HIR rounds, or high-impact rounds, which are these little tiny foam spongy golf balls that Nerf has made. I guess it was their answer to, hey, we want to do paintball and airsoft, but not really, so we're doing this. What this is, it carries 12 shots. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It carries 12 rounds, fires 6 shots. What do I mean by that? This is probably the closest thing to a legitimate shotgun, I guess you can say, that Nerf can probably get. It fires 2 rounds at once, kind of similar to the Diatron that the Vortex line put out. What you do is you take your magazine, you load it in the back here. Now, when you prime it, it loads 2 shots instead of just 1. So you're loading 2 rounds when you prime back, bring it forward, and then you fire. See? One hit me here, 1 bounced and came in front of us. But that's the way it works. And the way it works is you can kind of sort of see it through here. I'm going to do an internals video, so hopefully it'll come out a little better there. But as you can see here, when you prime it, you have a little clear tube that comes up, which is where your 2 rounds loads into from up here. You slide your priming bar forward again, and it goes back down, closes a breach in here, and that's what loads your shots. So, okay, good, those didn't bounce all over the place. It does not have any stock attachments because, again, it's not an actual N-Strike blaster. It does have a sling mount back here, so if you wanted to put it on a sling, you can. It also has a different rail system. It's more of a Picatinny rail. Again, kind of like doing the whole airsoft thing. Instead of the normal N-Strike rail system, so you can't use N-Strike attachments on it. But this doesn't really have too much attachments, well, proprietary attachments anyway. It does come with, if you get a spare 12-round clip, you do get, or magazine, you do get these clips with it that actually work perfectly fine on here. And the reason you would want that is because you use those clips to hold in your extra magazines. Now, it does come with a tiny little flip iron sight in the front here, but let's be honest, this is a shotgun. You're not going to be using it. You're not going to be aiming down sights at somebody like this, so you might as well put the rail to use and have an extra clip or magazine right here, ready to go. So this way you can just push this forward, slide this in, pop that bad boy on, and boom, you're ready to go. Now, another interesting thing that the Rivals line actually have, they all come with safety switches. Now, the safety switch just basically means you can't pull the trigger. You can prime the sucker all you want, but there's no way to deprime it. So, here, the safety is on, as you can see here. I'm going to prime it. Now, it does also have a prime indicator, so you can see that it is primed. I can't deprime it now. I pop my safety switch. This is going to suck because there are really no air restrictors in this thing. So I think the safety is kind of a little weird, but I guess if you're primed before, if you want to get everything ready before you do a round or something like that, I guess it's okay for, trigger safety or something like that. But this isn't real steel, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a toy. But it's always I guess, interesting to see those concepts coming into play on like actual things. Now, some people have noted that because when the safety switch is open or deactivated or whatever it's called, it does protrude on the right side, which does make it dig into right-handed people a little bit, make it uncomfortable depending on how you hold the blaster. I'm left-handed, so this has no problem for me. So, for once, something that Hasbro did actually benefited a left-handed person rather than just obstructed me, like the long shot. Over and all, this is a very bulky blaster as well, but we're going to open this bad boy up, we're going to see what's inside, and we're going to see if it really needs all this extra space in here to actually function properly. So, let's get to that. Look at the inside, because I don't think I've seen people do reviews of these. I haven't seen people do internals of these. And much like the Rivals line, this does come in two color options, either blue or red. I went with blue because I'm a huge Rooster Teeth fan. RVB is one of my favorite shows on there, and I go blue team. So, you know what? Suck it, red. The overall, it's a decent-sized blaster. I can't really complain about it. I'm actually starting to ramble. Let's go to the internals. We'll see what's in here, and then I will get to my final thoughts and let you know what I think of this bad boy. Okay, so for sake of time, I've already unscrewed everything here. I took the handle off already. It only has 3 screws holding it in, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. Unscrews very simply and holds in with these 2 main posts here, which go into the actual priming slide. And the cool thing is, in case you want to put a paint job on it, me personally, I specifically get the blue ones because I want the blue ones, so I'm not changing those because go blue team. The front piece that is on the priming slide actually does pop off as its own separate piece. So if anyone did want to paint that, you can do that no problem whatsoever. Now, the crux of the blaster, one thing I did want to note though, I do own an Apollo. I did actually do a breakdown of it. I never actually released that. If anyone's interested, please let me know and I can see what I can do about getting that one out to you if you're still interested in it, because it's been so long since it's been out. But the interesting with that is because the grip actually has the magazine well, it's actually 2 separate parts from the body of the blaster. Like, this would have been one piece and this would have been a separate piece. Whereas in the Atlas, the body is one piece in and of itself. So, as I lift this off, you can see this comes with me. And as we can see in the actual body of the blaster, you can see here it's the same color blue, or if you have the red one, the same color red, as the rest of the blaster, so therefore it is one solid piece. Now, a few other things that will kind of, I guess you can say, come out at you is the front piece here is all just one solid piece, so you can take that out, no problem. And if you're doing a paint job, you can just leave this off to the side if you want to keep the orange on the piece. As well as the Picatinny-ish rail, that comes out in one piece as well, so if you don't want to bother painting this, you don't have to. Same thing, or tape it off. Now, looking at the internals, there are a lot of gears in here, so, I mean, that's one thing that I always hated messing with, are gears, but lo and behold, that's what we got, which you had to figure was the way it was going to work. Back here, you have your clip release. I believe this is part of the clipper release, which is actually kind of interesting because the clipper release also holds the spring for the catch mechanism, which is right here. You have your safety switch for the trigger, as well as release of. I'm actually not 100% sure what this is for. I think this just might be a trigger lock here, but I'm leaving it in because unfortunately, these things normally don't have air restrictors in them, at least as far as I'm aware. So I'm not screwing around with it. These things are massively strong. So any locks that are in here, I know normally I would take them out. I'm leaving them in. Then you have the gear mech for your plunger tube, which is here. It runs off of this plate here, along with this here, which is on your slide. You have this mechanism, which is actually what moves your breech out. The jam door, which also comes out separately, and also has your ready indicator here. So if it's open, it means it's you can still use it with the jam door open, which you saw previously. And just a better showing of how this actually works is, as you can see the slide going back, you can see here a little more clearly the breech opening up and going forward, which in this case would actually be going into the faux barrel, or the front barrel. And I'm not going to be doing this all the way because I can feel this like just fighting against me without the other side on it. But as I slide it back further, you can see that clear tube starting to go up, which would go up fully, push this up, which will allow the rival rounds to come into the barrel system. When you slide forward, this will come back down to keep any more rival balls from coming out, as this goes back down and the breech closes, thus allowing you to fire your 2 shots. So overall, that's really the internals of this blaster. Again, I'm not going to be modifying this because I like the rival blasters for what they are. I have an Apollo, which I'm not doing anything with, and I have this, which, again, I'm not going to do anything with because I like it the way it is. It's the reason I got the rival blasters, because I wanted something a little different, but also, I mean, is it complicated to modify? It could be, but why else would, I mean, other than power, I mean, you're basically getting a Springer blaster. This would be like buying something along the lines of a Vortex blaster to try and fire darts out of it. So, I got it for what it is. It's a fun blaster with some alternate ammo that you can use for different game types. So, I'm going to close this back up. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the blaster. So, I will see you in a moment. Okay, so my final thoughts on this bad boy here. I have to say, over and all, I really do like the Atlas. Now, there are going to be a few things I want to go over with my final thoughts on this because other people have raised it in their reviews. One being the range that this gets, the reload, and the safety switch. Those are 3 things that I've picked out from people who have done reviews that I'm not calling them out on it, but I'm just saying it's not as bad as they really make it sound. First things first is the range. I'll work my way front to back on it. First things first is the range. 1, this thing fires 2 shots. So you're getting, the plunger is basically working almost double time to fire 2 projectiles at 80 feet or 85 feet-ish. That's not bad in my opinion, especially for the fact that, 1, this is a shotgun. Shotguns are not known for their ranges. The other thing is, I would not use this in an outdoor war, unless it was to kind of really like goof off a bit. If I did use this for actual competition or an actual like Nerf war, I would probably use this as a primary in an indoor war, not an outdoor. Main reason being is because the HIR rounds remind me a lot of the Vortex discs. The Vortex line, which was a few years ago, had these little foam discs that indoors worked wonderfully. When you took them outdoors, not so much. Wind was always a major factor with those. And with the little spongy golf balls, I can definitely see wind being a major issue with firing those outdoors. That being said, if I'm using this in an indoor setting, I do have an Apollo which does hit about 90 feet per second. This hits maybe about 75, 80 feet per second. If you just, let's say, translated that to feet, this thing hits about 75, 80 feet. The Apollo hits 90 feet. If you're in an indoor war, you're going to be shooting at somebody or firing at somebody probably no more than 60 feet away from you, I would say, at any given time. If you're firing at somebody at 60 feet and you have something that shoots 70 or 80 feet and something that shoots 90 feet, it doesn't matter because it's all hitting that range anyway. And again, shotgun. You'd probably be using this more for close quarters than you would sniping. So the range to me is a non-factor. Some people may take that, may take it a little bit more seriously than me. But for me, for what I'm expecting out of this thing, it's fine. I have no problem with it. Okay, getting on to the clip release. The clip release, yes, it can be finicky, but with practice, you can get very good at reloading this thing. With a little bit of practice, and I had this blaster for a while, but it's been sitting, just because I've been having other projects that I've been working on. But I mean, overall, you get the good speed going with this thing. You can reload it very easily. I may have had like a little trouble getting it, in the grooves to reload it, but I'm getting it out. I'm having very little problems with it. Now, again, your mileage may vary on that, but I have no problem reloading this thing, so that to me is a non-factor. With practice, you can get good at reloading this, and you don't have to worry about it. Now, the last thing here is the safety switch. The biggest complaint about the safety switch is it rubs people's hands weird, mainly on the your upper knuckle. Now, I am left-handed. This is a complete and total non-factor for me because when this is pressed in to fire, the pin is in on the left side. So this does not bother my hand whatsoever. Now, I will give that, yes, if I'm holding with my right, and depending on how I'm holding the blaster, if I'm choking up really tight on it, yes, I can feel it going into the side of my hand, and yes, it does bother me. But again, being left-handed, to me, it's not a bother. But, you don't have to keep the safety switch in. I'm sure you can remove it, or you can just trim it down and just not worry about it. So, either way, you can find a work around it. And I look at it this way. For this not to bother my hand, this is Nerf's way of apologizing to all us left-handed people for the massive atrocity that was the long shot, that there is no clip release on the left-hand side. So, that's really it on that. I want to thank you all for watching. If you like this video, throw me a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the Atlas. Do you like this? Do you not like this? Do you think firing 2 shots instead of 1 is an issue? Or is it just, hey, it's an extra way, it's an extra little gift there or whatever. So thank you very much for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Later.